world is changing in some really profound ways. And I worry that investors aren't paying enough attention to some of the biggest drivers of change, especially when it comes to sustainability. And by sustainability, I mean the really juicy things like environmental and social issues and corporate governance. I think it's reckless to ignore these things because doing so can jeopardize future long-term returns. And here's something that may surprise you. The balance of power to really influence sustainability rests with institutional investors, the large investors like pension funds, foundations, and endowments. I believe that sustainable investing is less complicated than you think, better performing than you believe, and more important than we can imagine. Let me remind you what we already know. We have a population that's both growing and aging. We have 7 billion souls today, headed to 10 billion at the end of the century. We consume natural resources faster than they can be replenished. And the emissions that are mainly responsible for climate change just keep increasing. Now, clearly, these are environmental and social issues, but that's not all. They're economic issues, and that makes them relevant to risk and return. And they are really complex, and they can seem really far off, that the temptation may be to do this. Bury our heads in the sands and not think about it. Resist this if you can. Don't do this at home. But it makes me wonder if the investment rules of today are fit for purpose tomorrow. We know that investors, when they look at a company and decide whether to invest, they look at financial data, metrics like sales growth, cash flow, market share, valuation, you know, the really sexy stuff. And these things are fundamental, of course, but they're not enough. Investors should also look at performance metrics in what we call ESG, environment, social, and governance. Environment includes energy consumption, water availability, waste, and pollution. Just making efficient uses of resources. Social includes human capital, things like employee engagement and innovation capacity, as well as supply chain management, and labor rights and human rights. And governance relates to the oversight of companies by their boards and investors. So I told you this is the really juicy stuff. But ESG is the measure of sustainability. And sustainable investing incorporates ESG factors with financial factors into the investment process. It means limiting future risk by minimizing harm to people and planet, and it means providing capital to users who deploy it towards productive and sustainable outcomes. So if sustainability matters financially today, and all signs indicate more tomorrow, is the private sector paying attention? Well, the really cool thing is that most CEOs are. They started to see sustainability not just as important, but crucial to business success. About 80% of global CEOs see sustainability as the route to growth and innovation and leading to competitive advantage in their industries. But 93% see ESG as the future, or as important to the future of their business. So the views of CEOs are clear. There's tremendous opportunity in sustainability.